By God's grace, yes, I'm doing good.
And I'm sure this video, famous video of the comments made by Gabby Otchere Darko in the UK has come to your attention. First of all, what are your observations on the video, first of all?
Thanks for this opportunity, and let me say good morning to your listeners. I was thinking that the NPP at this time would lay those issues to rest. I mean, in the sense of going public with it. Now that the lessons from them should be guiding the restructuring exercise that the party is undertaking. You know, you don't need to get the party faithfuls to get to know what you think, what really happened. For anything, they went into the elections and they lost terribly, historically. And so, what are you defending? So that's it. I think it's very unfortunate. I don't think he's speaking for the NPP. He's speaking for himself. He's speaking, trying to defend those records. And then, if you like, apportioning blame. I don't think the party needs that now.
You think he's trying to defend Nana Akufo-Addo's record?
Yes.
And then apportioning blames. Blames to who?
It appears obvious. He's talking about people who didn't analyze the situation well and so didn't react to it properly. And didn't even act appropriately, trying to establish a difference between humility and then, if you like, the way he put it, you sort of belittling yourself and in a way getting the campaign wrong, the campaign message wrong. But then one is at a loss to come to terms with the reality vis-a-vis this particular, if you like, a PR exercise. Because the party's loss was terrible. You know, the votes that the presidential candidate had vis-a-vis what the candidate that won also had, is historic. And some of us are not expecting something like that to happen again. The catastrophic loss of seats in parliament, I think it's also going to be there. It is going to go through time, as a very terrible moment in the life of the NPP. So you want to find out why those developments, the loss in the presidential elections, the catastrophic loss of seats, it is humiliating. You want to find out why. So because of bad governance, so because of bad leadership, so because of mismanagement of the affairs of the country. They don't want to acknowledge that. Casually, he looks at the international crisis and then also the crisis in Ghana, the difficulties. He mentioned it once, very, very casual, and then he moves on. He's interested in why people didn't acknowledge what was done, trivializing the party's neglect of Ashanti region and policy, public policy. Should it be based on an assertion by a member of parliament from Ashanti? Because somebody from Ashanti, according to him, once observed that Ashantis don't need flyovers, they need streets, in their localities, and that they provided several of them. But the bigger picture is public policy, distribution of Ghana's resources, trying to rebuild our cities. What structures do they need? Do they pick information that leads to some of such policy decisions from, if you like, casual statements that individual members of parliament from various regions make. So the whole thing is funny. It is very, very unfortunate. I think the party's leadership in Ghana are focused now with the rebuilding, restructuring, and obviously they won't be distracted by any of these things. Otherwise, it will not be helping, with the party's desire to move forward, learn lessons, and then move forward.
And I'll come to the effect his comments might make. But first, he makes a point about this is a party seeking to return in 2028, 4 years after they lost power so painfully. He is saying that if you come to the people with an apology, he says you have to wait your turn. That's for how long the people of Ghana decide that you should be in opposition. But if you go to the people of Ghana stating and reminding them of some of the things you did wrong, very well in some of the areas, it gives you a bit of an edge. Does it not have a point that political communication at this point for the NPP is important if they really have an interest in returning to power?
No, generally speaking, political communication is important. But then the content is the issue. The content is the issue. He doesn't necessarily rule out the need to humble yourself. He acknowledges there's room for that, but he thinks it should be done in a particular way. I think it should be done in a particular way. There's nothing wrong with that. But there's this other issue that, is also inherent in the whole discussion. The party's desire to come back. It may come back. But that will depend on the NDC. Going forward, given the mandate given the NDC, which I know they are not taking for granted, it is for the NDC to surrender political power. Rather, it is not for the NPP to win. Going forward, it is for the NDC to consciously or unconsciously, surrender political power. Because Ghana has empowered the party to do well. And President Mohammed's message is not just message. He's translating them into reality. He's going about carefully, but implementing what he said he's coming to do, resetting, the system. So the NPP, yes, they might come. They might get opportunity to come back. But like I just said, it's for the NPP to surrender power.
So it is for the NDC to surrender the power?
Yes. It's not for the NPP to win it.
Okay. But what do you think the effect of what he said will be, especially on the morale of people who are currently speaking for the party and thinking that the best way to go is to admit that the Nana Addo administration was less than desirable?
No, that's what he's fighting against. And that's, to me, not in the best interest of the party. They can't let go. Recently, Nana was in Kumasi and tried to go, the same tangent. They can't let go. But there is something that is registered in the mindset of people, Ghanaians who were here in the days of Nana Addo Dankwa. So, you don't need any other person to try to tell you what really happened. The guys in economics, the data about the nature of the economy, public debt, mismanagement of domestic economic infrastructure, including consciously or unconsciously bringing all indigenous banks to their needs. What an irony. An African country at this moment in time instead of encouraging indigenous banks and finding ways to strengthen them so that gradually they can really, take over. Currently, with the universities, President Mahama has issued a directive that, all payment of fees, collection of fees and stuff like that should be done solely by indigenous Ghanaian banks. So this is a forward-looking policy. As a system, a country, you want to empower your people, build their capacity, and let them occupy what is called the commanding heights of the economy. Another the reverse. That's very funny. An African country, a commerce country, in the current century, given the developments around the world, we have not learned anything. So that is how it is. It's not for the NPP to come back. It's not.
And let me conclude with you by asking, and you use the word that you are essentially saying they neglected the Ashanti region. What does that actually mean? Because he is also saying there's no way you can say that they totally neglected the Ashanti. They just listened to the MPs. What was the extent of the neglect that Ashanti saw under Nanado?
Generally, it's about the sharing of the national cake. And I like to believe that many of the Ashanti MPs to, behave like mercenary MPs. In their minds, they've taken the region for granted. And I think it has accumulated. It came to the fore so strongly during Nanado's time. In the absence of flyovers, if you visit Nanado's area, the Chimebuakwa locality, you drive past the place. You see how quickly, as soon as they came into office, they fixed the routes, put up street lights, all over the place. And then drive through Ashanti region. There's a place that is so terrible. The area where Dr. Adichum is the member of parliament, his constituency. Interestingly, the Ashanti regional chair of the party comes from the same area. The Ashanti regional minister of the day also comes from the same area. The area has one of the terrible road networks there, one of the worst. Ironically, the area has this tourist site, Lake Busumkin, the one and only in Ashanti region. And so at least Ghana would have liked to develop that place as a tourist site. So the road leading to the place could have been a major road at this time. Even if none of, the people, big people in the NPP, in Ashanti region in the country came from the area. That tourist site alone should have been enough to, get anyone who is really interested in, fixing the country to address that issue. It's a national asset, something monumental. They didn't do it. They didn't do it. You drive. There are a few areas in Ashanti region that had their road fixed. And then Kumasi itself. So if they didn't neglect the region, they should come and get Ashantis to apologize to them for not voting. They should come and get Ashantis to apologize to the party for not voting. What happened? And at the minimum,